Hello, everybody, and welcome to the resume critique series. I'm super excited to do this. I feel bad saying that I'm super excited to critique people's resumes, but I am. It's fun, and hopefully, everybody will learn. So, the entire point of this video is to go over the resumes that were submitted. So, thank you to everybody who has submitted a resume. I really appreciate you taking the time to do that. And you will get some feedback on your resume in this format. And the reason that I decided to do this is so that everybody can learn. So these wonderful people who submitted their resumes, also thank them. I know you can't because it's anonymous, but send a thank you out into the world for them because they have submitted their work for the better of the entire community so everybody can learn a little bit. So I received 9 CVs, and I know that I said that I would do 5, but because it's under 10, I was like, let's try and get through as many as possible. This might have to be a 2-part series because I only have a little bit of time right now, so we will probably do a part 1 and a part 2, but I will be doing all 9 of the resumes, which should give everybody who's watching a good overview of all of the different resumes that there are in the world, and you should be able to relate to one or potentially several of them. So let's get started. And I have not spent a lot of almost any time looking at these. The only thing that I did do was make them anonymous if they weren't given to me already anonymized. So you are seeing my true reaction to them as if I were a hiring manager reviewing them. Except I'm not going to be that mean. So you'll see little sticky notes on every one. I asked each person what their number one struggle was when it came to their resume. So we'll see this one is, I'm not sure how to succinctly showcase the impact and all the work I'm doing. Okay, so this person's name and contact information was up here, which is great. I always recommend doing that. But let's just have a quick look. So we have this little blurb here. Key achievements, technical skills, other skills, then experience, then education. Okay, so let's kind of go over this. This blurb thing, I highly recommend, and this is going to be pretty much across all the resumes, I'm sure, don't put it in there. It's a waste of space. The only time that I recommend putting in a blurb is if there is something so incredibly unique about your practice or your skill set that isn't going to come through in your bullet points and the rest of your resume. I'm not saying that nobody's unique out here. Everybody's unique. Everybody's great. We're all amazing. But unless there's something incredibly unique that won't come through in the bullet points, this is pointless and it's a waste of space, right? Nobody's going to read this. I know this. I can put together how many years you've had. I can put together your fast-paced industry environment. I assume that you're both good at qual and quant. So, and if you're in academia, I hope you can translate insights into product improvements. This is all obvious stuff that you don't need to put in. Let me give a quick example of something that I find to be especially unique. Is I was working with somebody on their resume, and they are fluent to the point where they can conduct research in 4 or 5 different languages. That's probably not going to come up very easily within your resume, but that's amazing. I also worked with somebody who lived in so many different cultures, and so really, really deeply understood different cultures. That's not going to come up in your resume as much. So those kinds of things, if you have those deeply, deeply unique experiences, put it there. Otherwise, take it out. Key achievements. These I don't care about. Sorry, I just don't, and they should not go before your experience. Your experience is the most important thing because it shows me what you've done, and that is what I care about the most. So I would either put this on another page under your experience or take it out completely. I am not a huge fan of skills. So Okay, this is interesting. You say that your program languages are Python, JavaScript. Okay, so if you can code to the ability where you can really use this, that should be going up here. That's a unique differentiator. Okay, you should not be like burying that in technical skills. You should be like, up here, like I'm a researcher, but I can also code, which means I can do X, Y, and Z, right? But these other skills, I hope that you can do all of these things. So I would say that this is less important as well. Also, this is not very important. If you want to put your technical skills in here, put them again on a different page under your experience, and I would take out other skills. So now here we have experience. And education is fine to have at the bottom as well. But here we have our experience, which is the most important part here. Okay, so when we dive into this, so don't do this. This is actually very ChatGPT based. I'm not saying anybody use ChatGPT, but it's unfortunately people are going to key into or think that you use ChatGPT to create this because it's a very, very, very common way of sentence structure and bullet point structure in ChatGPT. And you don't need to preface this. Like each bullet point should be a bullet point, right? So here, let me actually pull up. Okay, cool. I just wanted to pull up my resume very, very quickly to showcase what I mean. So each thing should be a bullet point in and of itself. Like you don't need this like introduction. It takes up space and it's completely useless, right? I would take that away from all of these because that automatically gives you enough space. And I would say for this, I always go for about like 3 to 5 bullet points. I'm taking my own advice, so I apologize because I have 7 here. I mean, I would say 7 is the most that I would do, which is a lie because I did this, but this is for something very different. But I would say like 5 bullet points per experience, 7 if you've been there for a really long time and you've done a whole lot of stuff. But if we look at some of this, what I recommend is try not to use things that would be in the job description that are vague, that are obvious. So as a user researcher, I expect you to be able to define research objectives, strategies, and methodologies. I expect you to be able to conduct extensive interviews, surveys, usability testing. I expect you to be able to collaborate cross-functionally. I expect you to be able to conduct workshops. These are all obvious. This reads like this honestly, and I apologize, I'm not being harsh, I'm just being straightforward. This reads like a job description. It doesn't tell me what you uniquely did. I want to know what you did that is so super unique and special that has nothing to do with a job description. So for instance here, this established continuous discovery. Let's look at that because that's very interesting. I'm like, okay, that's something that's really cool. Implemented a product agnostic customer discovery framework running in parallel with product to proactively identify gaps, pain points, and areas of improvement, enhancing product development and user satisfaction. So this is actually quite interesting. And I would say this is one of the best things here because continuous discovery is not an easy thing to do. And it's something that a lot of companies want to do but struggle with. So you telling me that you did something like this is unique. But what I would do is I would take it up a notch and I would say, okay, how did it enhance product development or how did it enhance user satisfaction? How many gaps did it identify? How many pain points did it identify? How many areas of improvement did it identify? Right? So as you'll see here, I put in numbers wherever I can. Right? So I created a structure and a framework which reduced wasted development time by 45%. right? I worked across, and this might be like for you for collaboration, work closely with how many product managers, how many designers, how many developers, how many user research findings did you integrate? And then I always ask, so what? What did that do? Okay. Okay, sorry, I wanted to bring this up because, and I will copy and paste these into the show notes for this. So, this whole thing here, when we talk about what we did, this kind of falls flat because it's like, this is just like what you did. It doesn't give any like insight into your unique process or the uniqueness of you, right? And it also doesn't quantify anything. So what I always recommend doing is using these kinds of, I don't want to like mess this up, but let's see. Okay, using these kinds of formulas. So the verb plus what you did plus the quantifier, which resulted in an impact. So ran 4 onboarding interviews with new clients, which resulted in redesigned setup steps and a 25% drop in support ticket, right? Uncovered, this should be the number of usability issues by synthesizing 12 support calls, leading to a streamlined payment flow. Facilitated quarterly reviews, right? Which resulted in better prioritization. And then I will also put these in as well. But this is like, here, facilitated weekly cross-functional syncs across design and ops to align on support, resulting in 30% faster escalation resolution. Wow, I cannot talk today. So when we go back to like this is like, as you can see, this doesn't feel like what I want you to do. Take a moment in time and say, this is the thing that I did. You don't need to say everything that you did, which is what this is. You need to pick the 5 to 7 coolest, like most awesome things that you did where you're like, I want to scream this from the rooftop, I'm a badass, and put that in there with those numbers, right? So instead of worked closely, it's like, what exactly did you do? What is one point in time where you worked closely with the PMs, designers, and devs? How many of them? And what exactly did you do in that circumstance? Like, did you hold a workshop? How many workshops? And then what was the so what? What was the outcome of that? As specific as possible. And I would go through and do that here. Like here, conducted workshops. How many? What kind? We don't want like and usability assessments. We want like one or the other, right? How many researchers? How many designers did you train? And like, what did this? So promoting a democratized and inclusive approach. What does that mean? Right? So what is the ultimate impact? Try and go to the exact core of the impact that you did. Okay. So that is the first resume, and I would just apply that again to all of these as much as you possibly can. So really just choosing the best bullet points. Let's head over to the next one here. So we have this person's like name and everything was here, and that's fine. Contact information. Again, I wouldn't really worry too much about this profile. I mean, it depends. If you're going for like consultancy, then you could say that you have 6 years of consultancy. But I don't know if you need to do that, including Wikipedia and Facebook. But that's in here, so you don't need to do that. So I wouldn't like worry too much about that. Yeah. Cool. Okay. So I would personally take this out because it's all in here. Now, if we look over here, I'm just going to, let me just look really quickly. I've not been hearing back from places. Okay. So we have here skills. So we have methods, core competency, sure, notable clients. That's fine. Key engagements, awesome. So some stuff that you did, which is great to showcase you're like part of the community. I covered your publications because they were obviously had some names in them, and then your education. So I like that this is over here. I actually quite like that style. As you've seen, like that's kind of the style that I tend to use, because it gives like, it's like, this is this stuff over here and now my work experience. So let's dive into this. Yeah, okay, so this is a so if you're struggling, so this is really great. If you're struggling with how you've grown at a company, something that this person has done really well is they've been like, okay, this is the company, and I started out as an associate, and these are the things that I did, and then I'm now like a mid-level user researcher, and these are the things that I did. So that's something that you can showcase is growth, and I recommend having like a different section for each one. So that's really great. So let's look at this one. So we have bullet points here, which is awesome. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So between the 5 and the 7, I mean, really it's like 3 and 7, depending, like I wouldn't put more than 3 here. So this is really great. So led generative and evaluative research for Wikipedia's first web interface redesign. Stop bolding. Don't worry about bolding. It's actually really hard to read. And it can be really frustrating for hiring managers because I'm like, all I want to do is stare at Wikipedia, which is, not easy. So for this, I might say like how many sessions did you lead for Wikipedia's interface redesign? So led, 50 plus generative and evaluative research sessions, which directly inform product decisions. So like, this is a little bit too broad. It's like how many product decisions? What does a successful global launch look like? Was it like, what exactly were they trying to achieve? Like what were the success metrics for this particular project, and like pull one of those, right? So, I would say led, 50 plus generative and evaluative research sessions for Wikipedia's first web interface redesign in a decade, which directly informed, 6 product decisions, I would say, or like you could say one of those product decisions, like which informed like, one new innovative stream or feature or whatever, and then say, take a success metric, like increased, time on the page or views of Wikipedia or whatever that success metric is, and put it in here. So I know that it's hard because this is contract work, and so you kind of have to be vague in general, but be as specific within the vagueness as possible. Developed, I would say, how many localization strategies by conducting mixed methods research, enabling the design and feature adaptation of a knowledge and advisory app for Indian farmers. I don't know what you did. I would, instead of being so broad here, can you bring out one major thing that you did that's more specific? Like what is enabling in the design and feature adaptation of a knowledge advisory app for Indian farmers mean? Like that's honestly over my head. So I'm like, I'm done. I don't know what that means, so I can't make a judgment call. I'd potentially take this out because a lot of people did this. Yeah, I might take that out. Led how many diary studies with vulnerable groups, such as, and like give like 1 or 2 groups, uncovering cultural nuances and privacy concerns that led to inclusive design and safety features for Facebook communities in global markets. How many? Right? And then did this like impact them further? Like is there like a final impact that came up? Like were they like, did bullying go down? Like what was the success metric that they were looking for that you completed with this research? Partner with 15 cross-functional teams as research lead, translating how many stakeholder needs, how many research plans, and how many this is too vague. Give one example. So partnered with 15 plus cross-functional teams as a research lead, translating like this to this, like give one specific example. So for instance, in my contract work, I worked with HelloFresh for a while, and I did more than this. Okay, so look at this. I conducted 19 evaluative research sessions, resulting in an improved overall usability, increasing retention by 15 and conversion by 6. Led 18 generative research sessions which culminated in a new innovative product offering, increasing revenue by 4%. I did more than all of this, but because it's contract work, you still need to pick something more specific than this, right? So try something a little bit more specific. Managed how many design and development teams for, how many, leading to what does successful website launch mean? So all of these vague things: successful website launch, successful global launch, this enabling this feature adaptation. All of these vague things need to be turned into more specific ones. Same here. This is too much in one. So how many heuristic evaluations, how many competitive analyses, how many teams, and like what kind of improvements, what kind of engagement, what is a successful MVP launch? Get more specific on this one. Definitely. Okay. I hope that this is helpful. Okay. Next. How many are we? This is number 3. Okay. Not getting any traction, even though I've only been applying to jobs postings via referrals. I'm wondering if it's the ATS where I'm getting stuck. My bullet's not outcome oriented enough. Do I need more detail? It's too detailed. Okay. I would again take away this. Unless there's something so like this should be doubling the customer base. That should be in your bullet points. I would like this should all be in your education anyway. Yeah. I would just take away your I would take this away, to be honest. Okay. Let's see if we've put that in. Doubling the customer base. Okay, so we have led generative and evaluative research across chronic conditions, including... Okay, there's like 97 things in here. And I see this happen quite frequently. And I'm like, we can't shove everything into one bullet point. So yeah, this needs to be... You need to choose more specific things that you want. So, because you have in here that you led the research, you facilitated workshops, you identified priorities, and you ideated on solutions. Like you can't put all of those into one, because what happens is it becomes way too broad rather than specific. And when things get broad, they start to sound like job descriptions. They sound so vague. And as a hiring manager who's looking over like so many resumes, they all sound exactly the same. So I would say, okay, do I want to talk about leading the research and like what that led to? Do I want to talk about facilitating workshops and what that meant to? Do I want to talk about identifying priorities, what that led to, or ideating on solutions and what that led to? So like, instead of trying to shove all of it in, pick the things where you're like, this is the coolest shit I've ever done. And it's okay, because like I inherently know, especially you've been in research since 2022, and we're okay. So three years, let's call it 3 years or so, or 2019, right? So we could call it 5 years. You've been in research, 6 years, right? That means I know that you've led research. You don't need to tell me that you've led research. Tell me specifically what you did. Tell me a specific cool thing that makes you unique, that you did, that is not just on a job description or not just everything shoved into one. Because like you'll see, like, and I went a little bit overboard, but like at Zalando, right? I did so much stuff, so much. Not all of it is in here because I don't need to say that and I did do a lot of research. I mean, this is more of a managerial role, so maybe we can look at another one. Like even in here, I led the research here. You don't see that anywhere. You see my really specific things. I was the only researcher at this organization. Same with here. I was the only researcher at this organization. And that shows here. But I say I led over 150 generative research sessions, which evangelized, and that's not the best. This needs a better outcome, right? But like here, I led research, but you don't even see that, right? And I want to talk about how I'm a lead here more than anything. But, you know, try not to like write the obvious things. Try and write the things that you have personally done. So let's look at this. Maintain positive health. I don't know what this means. That's probably, I don't know what that means. I would take that out because like I also really keep in mind, I don't know any jargon. I don't know anything about, I mean, United Healthcare, essentially. Boosted engagement by 2.6 times. I would write out times. Or just by 2.6. Yeah, or like whatever percentage on the Learning Center and mobile app through implementation of new features. How many? Informed by generative informative research, including interviews with 60 members and 6 coaches and usability. Yeah, you have a lot in here. And it's like kind of backwards. The outcome should come last. So how I might rewrite this is like, led 16 plus 6 is 22. And then how many usability tests? So let's say you did 7 usability tests, so 29. So let's just say 30. So led 30 research sessions on the Learning Center in the mobile app, which led to the implementation of 3 new features and boosted the engagement by 2.6 times. That's all. That's fine. But that's more specific, and it's more in the thing of like the verb, so that's conducted or led or whatever, what you did, and a quantifier in there or multiple quantifiers in there, which led to. That's the format. This is too broad, unfortunately. Like, what do you mean? How did you translate them? What did that do? Like, what were the tangible improvements? Because you're not telling me here, so I don't know what they were. So like pick one tangible improvement. You don't need to tell me all of them, or because like when you tell me everything, you're telling me nothing, essentially. How did you do this? And what was the impact of this? Like try to stay away from like tasks. Optimize member outreach processes and survey methods, streamlined research methodologies, insert, this is a lot of stuff in here. Pick one. And go with that. So this is like a great example of where things are too broad, like you're trying to put too much in, so I'm getting nothing out of it. So this is really great to like be much more specific on this. So it's like, for this one, like partnered with, 6 cross-functional teams. And then what do you mean by translate research insights translate research insights, or worked with 6 cross-functional teams on research projects, which resulted in, an increase in the NPS from 76 to 84. Like that would be a great one. So be more specific, just take everything and like write, instead of like putting everything into one, write every single bullet point out and then choose the ones where you're like, holy shit, this is amazing. Okay. All right. Let's see. I'm hoping we can get through 2 more. Okay. yeah, I'd get rid of, sorry, this blank space is name and contact and everything. I'd get rid of all of this. Having to clearly state my work experience in a way that shows what I was able to achieve is the struggle. Yeah, I would get rid of all of this. We have work experience, which is great because that's first. We have education, which is great. We have skills, abilities, hobbies. I'd get rid of hobbies and interests. I'm so sorry. Unless it's something that's like relevant, I would just like, I would get rid of it because it just takes up space. If you're gonna capitalize, just make sure everything is capitalized, but I don't think this should all be capitalized, but I'm not 100% sure. Okay, we have this one. So we have product lead. Oh gosh, we're coming, customer experience specialist. We're coming outside of my expertise a little bit, but let's see what I can do. So conducted market research and competitor analysis to inform product decisions, ensuring alignment with industry trends and customer needs. Okay, again, this is very job description-y. It seems like that is probably like the number one problem, is like this is very job description based. So conducted market research and competitor analysis. So choose, like, I would say, get more specific. What kind of market research? Like, what's a specific project? Like, choose a project. Just choose a project. Choose one of the projects that you did within this and talk very specifically about it. So what you will see, I don't know if I have project specific ones. No, I don't. Oh, that's so annoying. Okay. But if we here we go. Improved onboarding workflow used by 3 teams, which resulted in 25% reduction in support queries, right? So this is like a specific project. Let me try and find another specific project one. Right. Okay. So here, ran 4 onboarding interviews with new clients, which resulted in blah, 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 right? So get specific with these projects rather than just doing this really broad thing. So like, it's like conducted like 10 competitor analyses, which resulted in whatever it resulted in. Conducted research and data collection with the use of surveys. Okay, so this is like very wordy. So it's more like ran surveys and interviews with potential users and partners to aid in product development. That's way too broad. Like, what does that mean? What does aid in product development mean? Like, go a step further. Keep asking yourself, like, what is it until you get to the core. Led how many cross-functional teams? So put a number there to design, develop, and launch multiple how many product features. How did it improve the user experience and how did it drive business income? So this is perfect here. This would be great if you just put the numbers in, but then we have to say specifically one thing that it did to improve the user experience. So whether that's like customer satisfaction, whether that's retention, what literally any metric that you have, and then one business outcome that it drove. Okay. So, and the best one. Choose the best one. So revenue, for instance, or literally whatever. Choose one UX metric and one business metric and put those in instead. Communicated blank product plans in progress. I don't know what the point of this is. Like, what is the point of that? Like, what did it, so what? Right? So like, if you can really get something cool and unique that came out of this, then keep that in there. But like, what did this actually like lead to? What did this help? Foster collaboration across how many departments? And then what does effective in communication and alignment mean? Be more specific on that. Like, what do those things actually mean for you? Like, what did that lead to? What is the concrete thing that led to, right? We always need to think about this. Like, what did it result in? What did it lead to? What did it influence? Okay. What did it impact? So there needs to be something that happened there. It's a cause and effect. what happened because of this, and as concretely and specific as possible. And it's okay if it's just one thing. It's okay. Developed SOPs for effective streamlining and management of operations and processes. Yeah, again, this needs to be like, what did this actually lead to? What was the point here? Like, what was the, like, when a hiring manager reads this, you want them to have like a, oh shit, that's cool moment, right? Not for every bullet point, but like, you want to be like, oh wow, like this person did this specific thing. How cool. That, like, you don't need to putting in like broad things here, just like won't get you anywhere. This is like way too broad, and it needs to be very specific. Pick some cool shit that you did and get really specific with that, and put as many numbers behind it as possible. Also realistic. And I would continue to do that for all of these as well. Okay, we have time for one more. Oh shoot, I just did that incorrectly. Let me go right here. Okay. Yeah. Not sure if it's too detailed or not detailed enough. If the work I've chosen to highlight is compelling. Okay. Get rid of this. Just give yourself some space and get rid of it. Oh, I can't highlight. Okay. Director of user research. So built Promethean's user research practice from the ground up. Procure. Okay. Yeah, we're doing the everything in like a paragraph now instead of a bullet point. So this needs to be, what I would say is each sentence needs to be its own bullet point, which then has its own standalone verb, quantifier, what you did, and outcome. Okay, so what I would recommend for you to do is build Promethean's user research practice from the ground up. Okay, what did that lead to? What is the outcome of that? Okay, then we procured how many research tools and developed how much training to solve recruitment bottlenecks, resulting in, okay, this one's fine on its own. Hired how many user researchers, how many operations staff, increasing capacity by 4%. Okay, on its own. Established career progression framework and new hire onboarding program. What did that lead to? What was the point of that? Who cares? What was the outcome? All of these need to be separate. You need to separate all of these out and then pick the ones that are great, because these are some really good ones. So I'm glad that we're here now, because this is a great one to showcase. Like, here is what you did, any sort of quantifier, and what the impact was. Led efforts to introduce AI features to this. Okay, and like that you could probably just get rid of because it's just generic and has nothing in it. So conducted how many in-depth interviews to identify how high value opportunities, which led to. So what did that result in? That needs a lot more impact in it, a lot more of an outcome. I don't need to know this. This is a task to create and test prototypes. That's a task. Okay, conducted in-depth interviews. How many? X amount of in-depth interviews to identify high-value opportunities, which resulted in how many features, how many AI features, X amount of AI features driving 50% growth and feature adoption in 2 months. That sentence, that's all you need out of there, right? So this one and part of this one. Global buyer's journey study. You don't have like verb here. Led the global buyer's journey study. Okay. Yeah. Oh my gosh. Okay. There's a lot in here. So did you do 390 surveys or have 390 survey respondents? Because if you did 390 surveys, you are a awesome person. So I would say led 52 interviews and X amount of surveys across 6 countries, which informed our go-to-market strategy and drove premium product adoption from 30 to 50% of total sales, yeah, this is fine on its own. Just like rejig it a little bit and have a verb. Insights laid the groundwork for a new class of low-cost. This sounds very salesy. This is really interesting. This feels very, so what, okay, this is interesting. Just be a bit careful. Okay, I'm all for putting metrics in. Just be a bit careful with sounding a little bit too much. I don't know exactly how to explain that. So the insights laid the groundwork for a new class of low-cost products targeting untapped markets, 50 million in incremental revenue, driving 3.4 share growth in key regions. I mean, honestly, this is super impressive. I don't know why you're struggling. I think it's just like really separating out these different, like each of these, one sentence per bullet, pick the best ones, make sure each one has a really clear outcome. If it doesn't have an outcome, get rid of it. If it's a task, get rid of it. So this I would put at a separate line and say, trying to say insights laid the groundwork. That's not really like the best way to say it. Translated insights into a new class of low-cost products targeting untapped market segments, yielding 50 mil in incremental revenue and driving 3.4 share growth. So I would say that translated insights into a, and again, separate bullet point. So directed a jobs to be done study that reinforced refocused product strategy, shifting from investing 1 million to build an extensive lesson creation platform to enhancing existing student. I see what you're trying to do there. You're like, instead of doing this, we did this other thing. I'm wondering if you could like just simplify that a little bit. So directed a jobs to be done study that refocused product strategy and saved 1 million in wasted development costs. I think I would go more in that direction. Yeah. 1 million in wasted development costs, or in like 1 million in new feature creations. Saved 1 million by avoiding new feature creations. Oh God, this is a hard one. And instead, yeah, I don't want to say and instead, because it's like, what's the point? What's the point? What's the point? The point is it's leading to this 50% increase in repeat users and the projected 4 mil. So directed a jobs to be done study that refocused product strategy from 1 million in unnecessary new feature creation or unnecessary dev work to enhancing existing features, leading to a 50% increase in repeat users and a projected 4 mil. I think that's more how I would do this. But yeah, gosh, this is so interesting. I'm happy that this one was in here, because this showcases the things that you need to put in when it comes to like quantifying and like that impact for everybody else. So this was actually a great place to end. Speaking of which, we do need to end for today, but I hope, let me just go here. We had the contact information, we had methods, tools, education. Yeah, that's totally fine. So I would just make sure, like, this is better, like, because, well, never mind. This one sentence per bullet point and make sure that each sentence has its outcome. So yeah, I hope that that helps. I will copy and paste these formulas into the show notes so that if you're struggling, you can use those formulas as a way to help out. But yeah, I hope that's helpful. I will do part two soon, and yeah, we will go from there. But I will talk to you all soon. Thanks.